created to be if you're willing to put in the hard work, be vulnerable in situations, and you are willing to go on the journey and be open to possibilities. That what you were created for and who your creator is, when you allow those things to intersect, man, the power beyond just doing it on your own, none of us get there on our own. And when you recognize that and you own who you were created to be.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. Today, as always, I have a very special guest. Before I introduce him to you, though, I want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I want to ask for a favor from your side. I want to ask you that if you get some value out of this interview, if you get something out of it, some type of feeling, some type of new piece of information, or like the inspiration to go and stop your procrastination and take action, then I want to ask you to share it with one friend. Since this is how we grow, this is how we share our message, and this is how we are able to motivate, inspire, and bless other men to change their lives. And today I have Brian Covey. Got it?
Yep. Got Brian Covey. Yeah.
And he went from being pro soccer player to being the vice president of the largest mortgage companies in America. Brian is the original disruptor and believes in creating an innovative-based culture that trains, retains, and builds a legacy. I'm excited to talk about legacy, man. I'm curious about what your thoughts on that are. And he helps mortgage leaders balance the old school dog eat dog way of thinking with an innovative-based culture that encourages brokers to dominate in their field without creating a cutthroat competition with their peers. His company, LoanDepot. I just learned how to speak English 3 years ago. So
you're doing great.
Yeah. Supports its employees and creates the space for them to continue growing no matter where they are in their career, cultivating higher job satisfaction and therefore higher employee retention and exponentially higher revenue. So he has a lot to offer, obviously. Right. And thank you very much for being here, Brian. I'm excited to have you, man, and thank you for your time.
Awesome, Alex. Thank you. And man, kudos to you, because your story and what you were sharing with me before we went live, and then the fact you just learned English 3 years ago, I didn't know that, dude. That's overcoming things that most people never will understand. So honored to be on.
Thank you, man. So I'm Mexican. I think I left that part out, but I'm Mexican. So 3 years ago, I couldn't speak more than 3 words in English without choking. And that's like a testament for how hard I've been going in my self-development. So yeah, man. Thank you for telling me that. And the first thing that I do with my guest, Brian, is that I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
So I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and my parents were probably my biggest inspiration and gave me 2 valuable gifts. They're still together after 50 years. And I share this with people is my mom worked at the city for over 25 years, eventually retired, and was the most giving, caring mom. Like our house was the house that all the boys came over to, right? Like before games, after games, on the weekends, they knew it was a safe place. And she gave me the gift of positivity. She had a way of looking at any situation. When I was injured, I had almost near-death car accident in the 6th grade. Anything that happened, she had this power of positivity, and her faith is what led her through. A lot of that, I think, really was the inspiration. And my dad, the other side of it, gave me the gift of grit and hard work, and would take me on the weekends to shoot basketball, to go play soccer, to train when I didn't feel like it. He made training fun. It made it more about like you're putting the reps in, you're getting better. And he was a psychologist. So I learned tools like visualization and things that were there. And I share that because all of us, we have a journey We have gifts that we've been given. Some of them may be more traumatic. I didn't grow up with that trauma or those things that weren't there. I grew up with gifts that were given to me. And it's a way that I live honoring them. So the last part I'll tell you, I was the younger brother, 5 years. So my life grew up on the soccer field. He was 5 years older. I would chase him on the field, and that afforded me opportunities that I took opportunities. But I would share this with you in closing is they weren't without setbacks, failures, losses, times that I wanted to quit, huge adversity I've overcome in my life, but I'm honored where I am. And I can look back at all that and realize it happened for me and not to me. And that's why I think I'm still on this journey, chasing the best version of myself.
That was amazing, man. I'm excited. Like, this is not the typical story then, you know, like the typical story of entrepreneurs are, you know, they went to like trauma and they went to a lot of pain. And through that, they got the tools, they were able to develop what it takes to, you know, be successful. And then, you know, another typical story is of entrepreneurs who like didn't have anything and they had to work really hard and, you know, like nobody gave them anything and like they have to earned everything that they have. Right. So, I really like, you know, like different stories, man. Right. To like show the world that it's not always like that. It doesn't have to be like that. So there's this saying that I really like. I actually have in like my obituary, right? Because it's part of a chain that I want to break, which goes like this. Strong men create good times, right? Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times. Bad times create strong men. Strong men create good times. And then it repeats all over again. But like, I believe, man, that instead of becoming weak when you have good times, right? You should use those good times to become even stronger, wiser, more evolved, more intelligent men who create even better times. And then it's your responsibility to show those kids that are growing in even better times to become even better men, greater, stronger, wiser men that create even better times and change the world.
Yeah.
So
I love
I'm excited
that.
to talk about that, man.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and like, when you say your mom like gave you the gift of positivity, like I want to know more about that. So
yeah. Here's what I would share with you is like, as you look back and there's this kind of concept and I'm writing on this. I think writing is a nice therapeutic way sometimes that you get your feelings out and you understand what's happening in your life. And I'm writing this about changing currents. And if you can imagine, if you're going in a boat down the river or something there, and there's a current and it's pulling you in a certain direction. And what you talked about is a lot of us were pulled in a certain direction of our family because that's all we knew. We grew up, whether it was poverty or you had abuse or you had drug and alcohol in there and all those things, you're getting pulled by that current. But the reality is you get to change the current in your life. You make a decision to change the current and you can take the good and honor, right? Your parents. So my mom gave me positivity, which I'll expand on, but you can also change the current and change the entire trajectory of your family tree going forward. It only takes one. It only takes one to step up and realize that we were called for more and called for greatness. And how are you going to change that? And I share that gift of positivity because my mom always had a smile on her face. And it's really simple. Like we overlook the simple stuff, right, Alex? Like you smiling at someone in your family. Before my kids went to school today, I reminded them that I love them. I smiled, gave them a hug, like that little bit of confidence you're instilling in them. And I told my youngest, and I tell him this every day, I'm proud to be your dad. I hope you know that. I'm proud to be your dad. That is changing the current. It doesn't mean that I had to have a traumatic experience. It just means I'm going to take what my parents gave me and make it even better. And so I look at the way she smiled at people that came around and she was happy in the face of adversity. And by the way, Alex, she was actually born and her right arm was deformed. It wasn't fully created all the way down. So she lived her entire life with one hand and arm, never complained, never gave excuses, didn't look for a handout, and worked her ass off to make sure she provided for us. And I look at that and go, that's not just positivity in like smiling and doing that. That's positivity in action going, dude, if my mom can do that and overcome what she overcame, what freaking excuse do I have? We don't. We don't. Like we're all dealt different sets of cards. And if you go down a comparison route, you will lose every time. You need to look at what you were created with. What gifts were you given? And I share all that because it's not just how we show up. It's how other people look at us. And I know just thinking about my mom and situations when I tore my ACL in my freshman year of college, when I was in a near-death car accident in the 6th grade. She always had a way of looking at the glass half full. And I think for many of us, find people in your life like that, or become that person that's positive. Positivity can have a ripple effect in your life and others. And so I say she gave me the gift because, look, man, she never made excuses, and she smiled, and she did work without complaining and worked her tail off. Right. And she was one of the only females in a manager position. And at that time, 70s, 80s, 90s was uncommon. And it was hard to work in that setting, especially in the government. And so I look at that and go, hey, we can all be kind of that lighthouse. Wherever we're planted, be a lighthouse.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Yeah, it is great. And so let me ask about your dad now. So you said, what he passed down to you was like grit and hard work. Fill me in.
Yeah. Well, so I wish I could tell you he had the traditional trajectory. I look back on it, and there were a lot of difficult times because he was actually counseling in the prisons there in Memphis and doing ministry there, and was also a pastor. And you can probably imagine neither one of those pay well. Right. I mean, that's not what you do those for. And I'll never forget, in his late 30s, he went back and said, you know what, I'm going to get my master's. And he actually went back and got his doctorate. And the hard work came from things like that, like recommitting, taking difficult times and saying, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice now for the future and a better future for our family. That created a complete different world for us, because by him going back to school, it showed me, wow, when you commit to something, number one, you finish it. Number two, at any age, any point in your life, if you have a dream and a vision and you believe in it, you need to go pursue it and go do that. There's no age restriction or time to say, I can't go do this now. And the fact that he went back and paid his way through and was working while he went to school. And I can only imagine, as a young boy, like the sacrifices he made, I didn't see. But here's what I say about the grit and hard work is not only seeing him go through and do that, but then he would show up with me and my older brother, and we would shoot hoops for hours and hours and hours on the weekends, especially, and would take me out and play soccer and just make sure that, like, seeing him sweat and do hard work. And like, we just trained. Like, I mean, back then, right, there were no iPads, TVs really weren't even a thing. We just did hard work. And I'll never forget one time we were doing yard work, right? And I was probably, I don't know, maybe 6th, 7th grade. And we're just out there and, digging up plants, doing manual labor in the backyard. We were planting a new basketball goal and all of that stuff. And so I learned from an early age, like, you just do the work. You don't complain about it. You're out there sweating. And that day I happened to put my hand into a bush, like we're planting and doing all this landscaping. I got stung by a bunch of bees, which is probably why I'm deathly afraid of like wasp and bees coming at me today. But you know what? I remember doing the work with him. He was teaching me, you finish what you start, you put the work in, you sweat. That's how hard work pays off. And as my life went on, look, that started to manifest itself, because when I was given opportunities, I went on to play at a very high level of soccer that you don't get there without hard work.
You don't get to pro without hard work, man. Of course.
I mean, people want us to go, oh, you're talented, you're gifted, all that. Dude, the people that make it, you don't see the work they put in. And I'll share this one piece that I was overweight pretty substantially at 13, 14 years old, still a great athlete. And probably a lot of people can relate to this of, like, I didn't look good. I'd wear 2 shirts and like baggy clothes and all this to kind of cover up. Like, I was just overweight. And one of the times my coach would call me pizza boy. And I remember my dad was like, you got a choice. You can either take ownership of this and go fix it, or you can cry about it. So what did I do? I started eating turkey, grilled chicken, changed our entire family. I'm sure my brother was pissed. We started eating healthy and green beans and green peas, like all this healthy stuff. Every morning at 5 a.m. though, I showed up and I went running in the morning. It wasn't enough just to train and do practice. I had to recreate myself in a lifestyle that I'll tell you has paid off till this day. So that's what I say. It's like, I'm not just talking about being given a gift. Like, I have experiences that I can relate back to and go, that's what action looks like. When you say you're going to do something, you go put the actions in. That's what matters.
Man, there's a lot that we can like dive into, but one thing that I really like, man, is like your dad telling you, instead of, like in introducing the victim mentality in you when you were 13 and you were, like overweight, instead of telling you, oh, poor you, your coach is bullying you or whatever. He's like, either you own it, or you own it and stay the same and just, own it, or change, right? You
Right.
decided to change. That's amazing. That's like giving you responsibility. Like, he's teaching you responsibility, taking responsibility from very early on, which is something that most people struggle with, right? Actually, that's what the self-development industry aims to do. The self-development industry aims to get people from being a victim, from having a victim mentality, in which their mantra is that everything happens to me, right? Everything happens to them. And the personal development industry, their job is to like get people from here and take them into achiever mode, right? Yeah. Taking them into a level of awareness in which they are taking responsibility for everything, and they realize that it's their fault, right? And then anything that they want to create, they have to go out and get it, right? Which is, from hearing you, something that you got instilled in you from very early on. And I'm curious, man, did it, like, when your dad had you like working hard and sweating outside doing yard work and stuff, did you like hated him a little bit, at the moment?
Oh,
or were you aware of what that was teaching you?
no. I mean, what teenager or boy wants to be out there, seriously, like shoveling mulch and like digging up grass and like planting trees, and like, nobody wants to be doing that, right? Like, don't be playing with your friends. And I can look back on it now and I can see the lessons. And I think that's what I'm sharing with my kids sometimes, is put the why in it. Hey, here's why we're doing this. And right now, I mean, let's call it what it is. We're raising a generation that's a lot softer than when we came up. And so I'm trying to find ways as a dad and a leader of, there needs to be a balance of some empathy, but there also needs to be, let's be real about this. You're not setting anybody up for future success if they're not mentally strong. And I was watching this video one of my friends sent me actually this morning about David Goggins. And he was talking about, people work out, and his journey was working out. Yes, he lost a lot of weight, but he did it for the mental side of it. Too often we forget, yes, there was physical things happening. If you're working out, you're doing manual labor, but the mental side is you're telling yourself and you're teaching yourself, I can do hard things. When life gets hard, when things get difficult, I can do them. And so, yeah, I would, who wants to be out there doing that? I will say this though. I did enjoy time with my dad because he worked quite a bit, and I know he made sacrifices to be there. And so when I got time with him, probably like any young boy or like teenager, like I loved time with my dad. And so I didn't care what we did, right? Like I didn't care what we did. So for any dads listening, don't overestimate and undervalue your boys and your girls. They don't care what you do with them many times. It's just being there, like be there and quit being absent. That's what I would say is like, and I look back and go, man, I'm sure he didn't plan those to be lessons. He was just trying to get some time with his boys. That's it.
And that was the only way he could do it. That's amazing, man. That's all. Yeah, that's really noble, right? So man, so how are you? So you're right now, you're aware, right, of the generation that we're growing in, and the kids are probably going to grow up to be, pretty soft, and you're aware of all of this. So what are you doing to raise your kids to make sure that they are, that they're kids who grow up to be strong men, like kids who are growing up in good times, but instead of them growing up to be weak men, they grow up to be even stronger, men and women. So like, what are you doing right now to make sure, that works out?
So the best advice I could give any parent out there is recognize your role. I'm going to expand on that. Is when my kids are younger, there's a role that I play, and all of them I've coached in different seasons and different times. And I'll take my oldest I coached her up to a certain point and realized around that 12-year-old mark, I surrounded her with better coaches, in the sense of better, meaning they weren't her dad. It doesn't mean that technically they're better. It doesn't mean they have more experience. You got to set all that aside. And I had to make a really tough choice. I don't believe I was equipped and I was the right person to be dad and her coach to take her to the next level. And I say that because I get to play the one role that I was created to do, which would be her dad. There are people out there that are qualified. And so what I did very intentionally, Alex, was I surrounded her with qualified coaches that could teach her the technical skills, training, and actually spend time with her. And my role became to support her to make sure she got to the trainings, stayed committed long after her feelings changed, and provide an environment that she could compete, be challenged. You know what? and also have some failures in there. Like, I want her to feel like she's being challenged to know what she's capable of. And so I share that as a parent of like, how do we create that next generation? Is my role has changed. So my conversations have changed. So I travel with her. Sometimes it's just the two of us and I listen what's happening. And sometimes I need to err on the side of, I'm going to listen and be more caring dad. Like, yeah, okay. And that's just listening. That's not solving her problems. And then the other times it's, you know what? You need to lean in and be more stern and say, yeah, but that's just not how life is. Life is not going to give you things. It's not going to be easy. When you get out of playing sports and you graduate college, whatever your path is, you're going to have setbacks and things, whether they're financially, relationship wise, health wise, whatever it is. I need to teach you how to be mentally strong. How do we respond when things don't go our way? And so I'm always working on that. And the one tool I'm giving her that I think is huge is the tool of visualization. I'm actually teaching her, she's about to be 15, how to visualize success, both in the classroom and on the field. What does it look like? And we actually just bought her a book, the 4 levels. I think it's the 4 levels, 4 stages of confidence. I just got it this week. My wife ordered it. And so books, coaches, conversations. I share videos with her. Alex, I'm sure like you put out, I share videos of certain people that inspire me. Why shouldn't we be sharing the things that we're learning? I also share, your dad's not perfect. Here are some of the things I've been through, right? And so I am fortunate that she plays soccer and I can share my lessons through soccer. But I think too often we underestimate what is our role right now.
Yeah.
Be great in that spot.
That was great, man. So just the way you would invest in yourself because you love yourself, you love your kids and you invest in them. That's what it sounds to me, right? And that's why like the first step is learning how to love yourself, because how can you love someone else if you don't even love yourself, right?
Yeah.
How would you know what to do with someone else if you don't know what to do with yourself? And yeah, like a lot of humility, wisdom, right? Like letting go of your ego. Like I get this feeling of that you have to let go of your ego in order for you to let someone else be the one who coaches your kid, not because he is better than you, but because you know that in order for them to get to another level, you have to let go of that ego, have humility and be wise enough to know that that's the next step to take. So, and then that's something really cool that, that stuck out to me. Part of my core values are humility, wisdom, and respect, right? So another thing that really stuck out to me, man, is how you said that, you teach your kids to be committed even after their feelings have changed, right? Which is like, I believe the number one reason why people procrastinate and the number one reason why people are not successful, right? It's because they just don't finish what they start, right? They don't like follow through. They lack follow through. And the key for that is what you said, right? To stay committed even after your feelings have changed, right? If you said that you're going to work out 7 days per week, maybe you said it right now, right? You're excited right now after listening to this interview. You're excited. You're like, I'm going to work out 7 days per week. Well, in a week from now or in 2 weeks from now, you're not going to feel the same way.
Yep.
And the definition of commitment is that to stay committed even after your feelings have changed. I thought that was a really gold gem, and being challenged. That's how you grow. Right? You grow through challenges. So the fact that you like challenge your kids, and make them grow, really good insight, man. And I'm going to like come back and listen to this to see how I'm applying. I'm sure that I'm applying some of this, but to see how I can apply it further. So thank you very much for sharing that, man. And so you mentioned a near-death experience. So can you, how did that look like?
Oh man. So 6th grade, I was leaving. My brother was 5 years older, right? So I was sharing that, and we were leaving school, just normal day. He was picking me up. His high school was around the corner, and he would pick me up. And we had an old pickup truck, right? I think it was a GMC or something, like single cab, if you can imagine. It was brown. I do remember that. And we're leaving, and that day it'd have to be raining, like really, really bad. I remember in Memphis, sometimes you get these bad rains and it would flood in some of the streets. And we're leaving. There's this windy road when you leave our school that you can imagine it's an older part of Memphis, like big 100-year, probably oak trees, like massive, massive trees in the yards on the side. And as we're leaving, we make this one turn, and it's like a really windy road there. And I feel us start to lose control, and we're hydroplaning in the truck, right? And the trucks, like they're weighted different. because the back end's really loose and light. So we start to spin. And I remember in that moment, it was like everything just was in slow motion, yet it was going 100 miles an hour. And I woke up actually in the ambulance, not knowing what had happened and where I was, any of this. And as the story was told to me, Alex, we spun around so many times and so fast, we wrapped around the tree on my side. My brother had the steering wheel, so fortunately it kind of lessened the impact for him, but my head hits the dashboard. My hand, I still have this scar, almost lost my finger here, goes through the windshield as the seatbelt wasn't able to hold me, and I'm knocked unconscious. I get out of the car and start walking around because apparently my head is swelling and the trauma and all the brain swelling that's occurring. And I'm just walking aimlessly, don't know what's happening, blood and all this coming down. Fortunately, and I say this was a God moment, of a nurse happens to be driving by, sees the accident, sees the car, stops, and I'm going into seizures at this point. She stops, gets me to lay down, controls everything.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to tell you that this podcast has completely changed my life in ways that you could never imagine, and I would like the same for you. Look, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and the fastest way for you to level yourself up in every area of your life is for you to connect with people who are where you want to be, build relationships with them, and connect with them. The best way for you to do that right now in the digital age is for you to start your own podcast. And I just wanted to let you know that I have a free training that you can get free access to. It's called the 30-day Net Worth Skyrocketing 3-step podcast cloak track framework. And it's going to show you how you can start and automate everything in your podcast, from finding your ideal guest, getting them on an interview with you, and creating an automated content machine in just 30 days. By executing on this free training, you're going to be able to connect with high-level people, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem, in just 30 days with less than 1 to 2 hours per week, so that you can increase your net worth, your authority, your trust, your client acquisition ability, and your opportunity. So there's a special link for this free training in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
As far as what's there, the ambulance is on the way. But in that 10, 15 minutes before the ambulance arrives, if she doesn't come there and she doesn't stop, my brain swells because I'm walking in seizures. Like, my brother can't help me. He's still stuck in the car. It was, as it was told me, scary.
Yeah.
One of those moments.
How old were you?
6th grade. So what would that be? Like
12, 13?
Maybe 11, 12. Yeah. It wasn't quite a teenager, but man, broke my collarbone. You know, my hand was severed. I still have the scar as a nice reminder. Still have a scar on my head of what's there. And I say, you know, if that's not enough to remind each of us that God has created us for a purpose, and even though we've been near death, whether it was, you know, other things that have happened in my life, we're here for a reason. You're here today. Live today like it could be that last day, and love God, love people, and be that man you were created to be, or woman, right? Like, just be that person.
That's my purpose, right? As a human, that's my purpose, to try to be more today than I was tomorrow, man, than I was yesterday, and try to be more tomorrow than I am today, and just try to become better and better every single day, and live to my full human potential, right? And live as what I call a modern gentleman. And I believe that's like your purpose for everyone as a human, right? To grow and contribute. That's it.
Yes.
That's it, right? Like, people overcomplicate things. And if you focus on that, then you'll find your purpose, as Brian Covey and as Alex Ramirez, that I believe I feel pretty clear about that. And actually, you've talked about your gift a couple of times, and like what you were created with, and like a talent that you were given. So have you found that, man?
Yeah, I think I've unlocked what I call as the combination. And when I was
cool.
writing out my vision and my mission, it's really been leading by example and showing other people by my actions and by how I show up every day that you can be ridiculously successful and still have a great family life, and still be true to who you are. You can honor God through that, and you can be all you were created to be if you're willing to put in the hard work, be vulnerable in situations, and you are willing to go on the journey and be open to possibilities, that what you were created for and who your creator is, when you allow those things to intersect, man, the power beyond just doing it on your own, none of us get there on our own. And when you recognize that and you own who you were created to be and your gifts, once you unlock that combination, dude, life is so much more fun.
It is,
And
yeah.
it's just, and I've tried, many people, I'll say this, they try to be someone else. They want to, be successful because somebody says, this is what success looks like. You need the Lambo, you need the house, you need the watch, whatever, this amount of money, this position, you need to, like, that's all ego stuff. And that's cool. Like, if you have enough money and you can buy that stuff, that's awesome. Like, I've been able to do a lot of cool things, but those don't define me. What's going to define me is the legacy that I leave and the people that I've had an impact. And my mission and how I believe our team's been successful is I want to create other leaders that create other leaders that create other leaders. It's generational and it continues to live on. It's not all about me. At that point, now it's become, who are the leaders that are creating other leaders that are creating other leaders? And I can step to the side and make sure people are watching us. They know what you're doing and they know what you're saying. If they're in alignment, people are going to like you, they're going to trust you, and they will follow you, and you can make an impact. You've got to live in alignment with these things, right? Like, just be that person that you were created to be.
And then once you live in alignment, man, it's so, like you said, fun, right? And like effortless. It's pretty cool. I think I'm experiencing that, man. I'm experiencing that.
Dude, you will. And here's the piece that I layer into all that. And I don't want anybody to miss this is grace is a big part of this, and understanding that none of us are perfect. We have all had things that we've done that we regret, and you have things you're going to do today, next week, next month. You're going to wish you did them different or better. You're trying to move to a place where you limit those, right? And you make a decision from the point of who you are. Well, you can't make these great decisions until you become that person, because you're reacting out of hurt and anger and fear and frustration and all of that. When you can move to a place that you really live in alignment and gratitude, and you accept grace for what it is, and that none of us are perfect, and God's going to allow you to do great things. And I wrote this quote, I shared it yesterday, Alex, that ties into this. Discipline begins where inspiration ends. It's very simple. Your discipline is what's going to get you to where you want to go. You can be inspired for a few minutes, maybe a couple days, maybe even a few weeks, if you're lucky. The discipline is what's going to carry you through the ups and the downs of this journey. And so that is a skill that can be learned.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see. So what would be your combination?
So I've realized that my mom gave me that gift of positivity. I shared that earlier. My energy and how I show up, part of my combination is how I show up every day is I'm high energy. I love people, truly love people. And I show up to give my best. People can sense your energy and they know who you are on a frequency that you don't even understand. Before words come out of my mouth, if I smile, if I bring my energy, that's part of my combination. The other part, as I shared from my dad, the hard work and grit, nobody's going to outwork who I am today. Like, when I show up and I say I'm going to do something, I put in the work. I back up what I say I'm going to do. And the other part, as I look at this, is the overarching principle of being a man of faith. I believe, I share with people, you can't get there alone. And I believe you need faith and to understand that God created you for something bigger so that you can then go out in the world and be unapologetic of who you are and your flaws and also the things that you're great at. And you can be all of that person in one. And so I share this because nobody can really say much to me about my flaws or the things I haven't done or I have done that I wish I regretted. Because guess what? I own it all. Like, it's just who I am. And when I move from that place of being insecure about it or like embarrassed about it and just go, dude, like, who cares that people know that I've screwed up? Who hasn't? Like, there's freedom in that. And that's the combination that I will tell you along your journey. What I've realized now in my mid 40s is that combination also starts to change a little bit, where I recognize now it was really for many years working on my own personal leadership. And while that hasn't changed, my combination has changed a little bit of I am hyper focused and intentional about giving the lessons and gifts that I've been given to the leaders and the people around me that I care about the most, because they will take what I give them and make them theirs and even better. Right. So the gifts I give you today on our conversation, you're going to take them, Alex, and you're going to go do something with them.
100%.
That's what this is about, is just the exchange and helping people become better than they were by trying to do life on their own. That's it.
Yeah. So actually, like my vision, what I want for my life, I have it written down. I have help becoming better and better and helping others better and better as well. Get better and better as well, so that they can then help others become better and better, and then help others become better and better as well, which is what you're talking about, right? Which is the same concept of strong men creating good times and good times creating even stronger men who create even better times, who raise kids to be even stronger and wiser men, right? And what comes to mind right now, man, it's so powerful. I hope, most people listening to podcasts want to like get to the money making strategies, but I hope that they get that this is right, the money making strategies. And one thing that comes to mind is like the parable of talents, right? Mm-hmm. So like there's like three guys that were given one was given 1 talent, another one was given 5 talents, another one was given 3, and their job was to go and share those talents, give those talents, multiply those talents, right? Yep. And exchange them, which is what you're doing. So right now, like the talents that your mom had, positivity, the talent that your dad had, grit and hard work, they gave those talents to you. Now not only are you using those talents to create more talents, right? You're like changing them and sharing them and like developing them. And now you not only have positivity, high energy, hard work, you also have faith, you have a big purpose, you're a leader, you're focused, you're intentional. And that's what life is about, man. Yeah. Right? In comparison to like someone like the guy who had 1 talent, he was afraid, he was in scarcity because he only had 1 and didn't do anything with it. And not only did he just stay the same, he got that talent taken away. Yeah. Right. So like that tells you a little bit about what our purpose is, which is sharing and exchanging and helping and growing and contributing, right? Which I thought that was really powerful, man. And I believe we're really aligned, right? You said right now that when you were talking about the combination, leading by example was the first one. I call that motivate, inspire, and bless. I've mentioned it a couple of times right now in this podcast. So motivate is like leading by example, being the example, right? Walking the talk. Because when you do that, you like motivate, right? If you see someone who's jacked, being the example, working out, eating the meals and stuff like that, and he's jacked, you see the results, you're like, oh, you get motivated by it, right? It gives you hope, it gives you motivation. And the motivate, inspire, then you get inspired, but you don't get inspired if that person is like an asshole, right? Like if he's like, yeah, I'm jacked, you're not, I'm rich, you're poor, you suck, right? You don't get inspired by that. The way that you get inspired is if he comes from love, humility, and wisdom and respect, right? If he does that from a place of love, then you get inspired because he'll make you feel as if you can do it too, right? You'll feel like he believes in you, so therefore you'll believe in yourself. So you not only are you motivated now you're inspired. But then you talked about discipline comes when inspiration ends, but now you gotta also bless them, right? You bless them with the tool sets and the mindsets and everything necessary for them to actually take action and change their lives. So motivate, inspire, and bless. So yeah, I really liked everything that you said, man. And there was big wisdom and insight that was dropped. Thank you for that. And we have a couple of minutes, so I want to make sure I ask about what you're doing now, and I also end up my interview with 5 questions. So let's fast forward a little bit, man, and like tell me, like what is it that you're doing now? What is it that you're focused on right now?
It's expansion. You know what I've realized, I've raised my capacity in areas when you start to really play the game right and you unlock your combination. What I've realized is my capacity now, yes, I'm leading a team that we went from like 245 million a year in mortgage fundings to $2.4 billion. I have a vision. I shared it again with our team this morning, the road to 10 billion. And our team has exponentially grown. I mean, last year alone, we hired 85 people to our team. 6 of those are leaders. And so in my care, I've got a lot of people that I'm responsible for, but I'm inspired by to take care of them. So that team, it's a lot of business development, a lot of recruiting, a lot of coaching on site there. And I've been in the game 20 years. Look, this wasn't an overnight success. This was 4 years with this company and this team of growing it. And we're just getting started. And so nobody to think, like I started at the bottom, literally as like a processor, credit manager, like didn't know anything. And I've worked my way through, and that's where discipline comes in for us. And as I've started to realized that making money is just a byproduct of the person I was becoming, right? When I got the right coaching and the right tools to go, okay, Brian, when you do this, then I could apply it to other areas of my life. And so now I invest in other companies, and there's other things that I recognize as opportunities that I didn't recognize. I wasn't in a place 5, 10, 15 years ago. I recognize those, and I'm attracting people into my life that I've said I want to live an abundant life, meaning I do want to make a ton of money so I can bless others, give here, spend time with my family, travel with my kids. There is nothing wrong with that. My intentions are pure in that, and I know what I want to do with it. And what I love is, as you're given more money, it will expose who you are. And you'll find areas like I did to go, man, I'm not dialed in here enough. I need to be giving more here, right? I need to be investing more here. And so now investing in several other companies, I'm learning lessons. Even yesterday with one of the companies I'm invested in, we were talking about an equity partnership and some things there. I'm learning. When you commit to being a student of the game, everybody listening, I want you to hear this part. Being a student of the game means you're open to new ideas. You're coachable. You're willing to ask questions and ask for help. That over the last 5 years has catapulted my, I would say, success. How I define success is I'm a better version of myself. Well, guess what? In 5 years, I'm going to be even better. Like, I'm going to put the reps in. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to hire coaches to help me. I'm going to put myself into rooms with people that think bigger and have more information than I have. That changes the game. So, dude, I'm having a ton of fun, man. I'll tell you, from a parent side and a dad side and a husband and all that, one thing I've done is I've realized there are hacks in life. I call them compounding time. One of those that is a firm foundation for me that I do quite often is, if you follow me on social, you'll see this. I work out with my boys, or I train soccer with my daughter, but mainly the lifting with my boys. We created a home gym, Alex, so I can spend time with my boys, 6 and 13. I can work out, and all of that together is building memories and relationships and creating habits for them. All the while, guess what? I'm staying true to what I said I would do. I mean, that is, we make things so complicated. That one, call it 30 minutes, an hour, whatever time we spend, is time with my boys. We're talking, we're jamming to music, we're having fun. At the same time, we're putting work in. At the same time, we're bonding over things that we're talking about, and I'm teaching them habits for their future. Too often, somebody goes and works out. Later on, they try to find time to spend time with their kids. Later on, they try to like connect and do memories. Dude, integrate this stuff. Like, start doing life and quit compartmentalizing all this. I only give you that as a tactic in like a real life application of like, that stuff works and it means something to your kids. So that's a life hack for you.
That was a great insight, man. Actually, I just invested a couple of $1,000s to buy a gym for myself right here.
Smart.
It's outside, man. So I literally walk outside, work out, and then between sets, I'm able to teach my daughter how to ride a bicycle. Feels amazing. And then my wife comes, like out, and I'm able to kiss her while I'm working out as well, and while I'm teaching my kid how to ride the bicycle. It's amazing, man. Right? And a few $1,000s, man. That's it. That's what it costs to be able to have like this success and this happiness and this fulfillment. And like now, I used to like spend like 15 minutes to go to the gym, right? The traffic that would drive me quite crazy. And then 15 minutes back, that's 30 minutes. I go to the gym 6 times per week. That's like 3 hours per week. If you multiply that by the weeks in the year, I literally, for like less than $3,000, bought myself 2 months of 8-hour work days.
Jeez, come on.
No brainer.
That's the stuff. I think we've got to share these. And I share that tip because that one tip alone, like even last night, like in our side yard, like we're playing football after my son's football practice, right? Like stuff like that. You got to create these opportunities. Don't hope or expect they're just going to happen on their own. Create them. Be the man, especially the dads out there. Create these opportunities. It's the only chance we have sometimes to make these things happen.
So mortgage, you do mortgage right now?
Do mortgages, yeah, and then invest in real estate. But our mortgage team, we're helping people a lot of times, first-time home buyers, veterans, people moving up, buying vacation homes, all of that. And we are nationwide, believe in the power of educating and being a true advisor. So you're not just getting a rate quote and here you go. We really want to advise people on what are the options because it can be overwhelming. I remember buying my first house. It was scary. Didn't have all the information I needed. And so our mission is to empower and educate people through financial literacy and help them buy the right home, get the right mortgage product. For most people, that's going to be the largest asset and also the largest, liability and debt that they'll have. And so let's get that right. Let's help you set that up for success so you can go do all these other things.
Awesome. So you help people, like you educated and everything in order for them to make the right decision when it comes to getting their mortgage, and then you invest in real estate. So
I
do you do
do.
that like passively, or how do you invest in real
Mostly
estate?
passive, yeah. So there's a few things. We've got a couple of rental properties, and then what I'd call like more vacation style homes. And then what you'll find is you start putting yourself out there. This is why you went to the 10X Growth Conference, right? I go to some of these conferences because I will meet people there, and now I'm being presented with investment opportunities. Some of these are 6 months, a year, 2 year opportunities. Say, hey, we're going to put this into this development, or we're going to put this into this company, whether it's an equity partnership or whether it's something that's going to just be a return on the money I put in. I've learned how to invest. I call it passively, but I'm very active in the choices. I've got to align with them. I've got to like the people, know them, trust them. But passively in the sense of I have a full-time job, right? Like full-time plus, and my family. There are ways to invest and not be hands-on every day running the business. A lot of great businesses need capital, and they're willing to pay you because they don't want to borrow it from the bank and deal with all of that side of it. And so I've learned, part of that, Alex, is just learning and starting with where you are. People think, oh, I got to have hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars. For some, yeah, you do. But for others, you need just a few $1,000s, right? And you've got to connect with the right people and just start where you are. Don't try to be bigger than you are and take on risks that you can't. With every investment, there's risk, right? And I think about, you got to understand, and as a true entrepreneur, we are willing to take risks. Not everything has worked out
Mhm.
exactly like I wanted, but I'm willing to take risks because on the other side of risk, there's reward. The ones that do actually perform or outperform, look, to me, it's a game, right? Like, let's say these two don't work out over here, but these five do work out and they're huge. Great. I'm playing to the odds. I'm playing for success for me. And I think that's what the entrepreneurial spirit is. Willing to take
100.
risk.
Yeah, man. And just to like summarize and like the what you've been talking about, what we've been talking about in the last 6-8 minutes is like three of my other core values are committed, learner, gentleman.
Yeah.
Right. So committed because like I'm committed, right, to becoming the best version of myself, regardless of how I feel, even after that the feeling of that got me started to want that has left. Learner, like I'm learning every single day, man. I'm the only thing that I know is that I don't know shit and I don't know crap.
You just don't know it all
Right.
yet, right? No, you just don't know it
So
all.
yeah, and gentlemen, right? Like that's what I'm committed
Yeah.
to, man. Like having it all, right? You said it right now. Like leading by example and making a lot of money and still having an amazing connection with yourself, an amazing connection with God, an amazing connection with your family, having it all. That's what being a modern gentleman is, and that's what I'm committed to. That's what I'm learning every single day to achieve. So awesome, man. And look, the first question that I have is, you're how old are you right now?
44.
44. All right, extremely young. And so what advice, what piece of advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could? Like not redo your life or like redo things, or no, just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
I live a life with no regrets. So I look back on that. One thing that stands out to me when I look back is I would have invested more in myself and made more sacrifices there to work on my budget to invest in me because I dabbled in coaching. I didn't get serious into coaching. What will accelerate your growth more than anything is the people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, and the coaches that you actually invest and pay money for. And so that's what I would go back and do different is invest more and earlier.
Yeah,
I'm the
100%.
product. I'm the service. Like I didn't invest enough in me. And so later I'm playing a little bit of catch up, I feel like sometimes, but I would share with somebody, there's still time.
All right. So then invest more in yourself and then take investing in yourself seriously. One of the reasons people don't do that is because they're afraid. Like you dabbled into coaching, it was probably because you didn't believe in your own ability to get an ROI of that investment, right? But it's like the best investment that you can have, and it will definitely give you an ROI, right, with time.
That's right.
So the second question is, mindset. What is a mindset shift that you can share that you've had that has contributed to your success? Mindset shift.
Moving from scarcity to abundance. I used to think, there was limited resources or limited opportunities, limited amount of money I could make, limited amount of fun I could have in my life. Like I limited myself. Like these limiting beliefs that we all kind of struggle with from times. Like I just limited what was there. And when I shifted and I started to see the world differently of there's an abundance of resources. And I remember Tony Robbins kind of inspired this thought process. There's enough resources out there if I'm willing to do the work and go find the people and go find what I need to be successful. I just gotta be willing to do it. So that shift opened my eyes and I started to see opportunities. Oh, hey, this person knows, like I remember a few years ago, getting a new CPA, shifting to an abundance mindset of, wow, this person can help me with my taxes and situations here. They can help me with business, questions that I have. That abundance mentality will open your eyes to possibilities that you never thought were possible.
Abundance. Yeah.
There's enough out there for all of us. If we go after it, there's no one telling you or I, we can't make a certain amount. We can't travel a certain amount. We can't give a certain amount. It's limitless. It really is. The only limit is like what we're putting on ourselves.
Especially when it comes to giving, right? So yeah, yesterday I was having a conversation with a very wise gentleman, and he said that one of the biggest shifts for him was giving, because when he gave, he noticed that more came back, right? So yeah, and it has to do with abundance, because the only reason people don't give is because they think there's a scarcity of whatever it is they're giving, right? Yeah. So the second question, man, just 1 minute and a half. The second question is about mindset map clarity. So what is one like piece of advice, tactic, strategy, or tool that you can share with us to have more clarity in your life?
Oh, I love this one. This is actually what I'm focusing on this year.
Nice.
I chose clarity as my word. For each of us, we need to define success with absolute clarity of what success means to you. Because in order to achieve something, you have to have a defined goal. Yeah. And success is not what someone else tells you. It is not what society or social media or any of that is telling you. When you define success and you get clear on your vision and your values, then what will happen is your priorities and your choices start to be aligned. And then every day it's just, this is what I believe. These are my priorities. So I say yes to this and no to that. When I got clarity this year, and I will give credit, one of my coaches I'm working with right now helped me get further along than I ever have. Clarity of what success means. And then I established 3 very clear goals that align with who I am and where I'm going this year. Dude, my productivity is on like a wicked high level because my focus and my clarity is, it's just there. It's dialed in. And so again, this is why you have coaches.
Do you mind sharing?
Yep. So one of them is our team, right? With our LoanDepot team that we're going to do over $3 billion this year. And I've got that all mapped out of how we're going to get there. The second one is I'm working on my second book, and I had said I was going to speak on 4 stages. By the way, we're almost done with the book, got a publishing deal. I've already spoken on 2 stages. I've got 6 more lined up, so I'll smash that goal. And then the last one was a legacy play. We already bought a piece of real estate down in Orlando that I was looking to create passive income and wealth for my family later. And then I invested in 2 other companies and then 1 development company. So I strategically mapped out all 3 of those. And I have actionable items every week, and those all align up with me, right? So it talks about my team and my role here at LoanDepot, creating leaders in our growth, creating this book and speaking on stages will inspire, and I'll be able to change lives through that outside my organization. And the last one's my family and my legacy of what am I doing so that we can set that up properly and invest intelligently for the future. So it's not all about me just having to show up every day and earn income.
Amazing.
So those are my 3.
So what does success mean to you?
I want to leave a legacy that when people show up at my funeral, success is going to be defined by, I made them feel better about themselves. They did things they never thought were possible. And my family goes, man, he was a great dad, a great husband. He showed up. He was there for me. He loved me. And the last part of that piece of success is everyone that encounters me, I want to leave them better than they were and to know that they love God and love people.
That's great, man.
That's the recipe.
And really cool thing that I've noticed from what success is to you is that not only is it something that that it holds you accountable, something that you gotta live up to, but it's something that you're probably living right now. So right now you're successful, right? So Oh, that was amazing, man. Thank you for sharing all of that. Mindset map, motion, habit. What is one habit that you have that you think has contributed to your success?
Ooh, probably the one that I look at is each day when you wake up, I don't wake up to an alarm clock. I don't roll over and hit snooze. When I wake up, I wake up. I put my feet on the floor and I get moving. That's part of my routine. But the one habit that I would say is many times we don't just pop up. It's the first decision you make every day. In the habit of getting up and getting in motion, whether you go pray, whether you go have a gratitude journal, whether you go work out, like whatever comes after that, the one habit of just, dude, when you wake up, just get up, quit laying there. It's really simple.
Cool. Awesome. So the last one is measure. So what are your thoughts on tracking and measuring?
I do it every week. So the 3 goals I gave you a minute ago, I track the activities and I have check mark boxes. And then on that following Sunday, right? So after the week's over, I plan out the next week. But on Monday, I have a coaching call and I'm accountable to what I did and what I didn't do. It's really simple. Hold yourself accountable.
Nice. So yeah, amazing. So you mentioned how like you have a vision of what you want for your life. Then you know exactly what you want to achieve this year. You said that you have it mapped out. I imagine that you mapped it out in quarters, right? So you know what you want for quarter 4, quarter 3, quarter 2, we're in quarter 2. Then that's breaking down into like month and then breaking down into week. And every single week, you just see where you are on track, off track. If you're off track, you then, got to fix some things. If you're on track, well, good. What can we do to double down and be even better? Amazing. So mindset, map, motion, measure, money. Money is results physically, emotionally, sentimentally, and financially, right? And these are the questions that I always ask, which I believe are going to change people's lives. And thank you very much for being here, man. I really appreciate you. Really enjoyed this amazing conversation. It was a pleasure. So if people want to know more about Brian and mortgages and investing into real estate and everything that you do, you speak and all of that, like where can they go?
Easy. Just www.briancovey.com.
Amazing. Yep. You got any events going on? Your book is going to come up?
Yep. Book will launch later this year. I'm speaking at some events. So you'll see on social media. If you follow me, I'm on Facebook, do a lot on Instagram. It's the Brian Covey. Somebody already had my name, so I had to put the in front of it. But yeah, check me on there. We put those up, but you'll be seeing me more and more. And we'll be launching, actually, I'm going to be doing a coaching course that we launched this year about a lot of the things I talked to you about today, but getting very much into the weeds and the tactics of it, not just giving you some theories of, hey, here's what I've done, like pound my chest. No, here's what step 1 would look like for you in this area of your life. And so we're going to be teaching that because I think we're at a point where we need to equip and teach other people how to do this for themselves.
Nice, man. Awesome. So great, man. It was great talking to you. Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms